The room had fallen silent. The chandeliers, the champagne, the glittering guests. None of it mattered anymore. All eyes were fixed on the entrance of the grand Sterling Hall, where two officers stepped across the marble floor and walked straight toward the bride. Victoria Kingsley. Her diamond tiara flickered under the light as she whispered, "This must be a mistake." But even she knew. It wasn't. And across the room, standing perfectly still, was a woman wrapped in a midnight black gown. A woman who had once slept on sidewalks, eaten leftovers, and disappeared from every public record. Serena Hale. She didn't flinch. She didn't blink. She only watched. Because this was the moment she had been waiting for. And to understand how a homeless nobody brought down a woman like Victoria Kingsley, we have to go back. Back to the very beginning. Back to the night a billionaire named Adrian Wolfe made the biggest mistake of his life and invited a stranger into his world. It started with a wedding invitation. A flawless white envelope slid across Adrian Wolfe's mahogany desk, sealed with gold foil. He tore it open, glanced at the names inside, and let out a sharp, humorless laugh. "Victoria, you've got to be kidding me." Victoria Kingsley, his ex-fiancée. The woman who left him for someone wealthier, older, and more acceptable. Now she wanted him at her wedding. Front row, witnessing her perfect new life. He tossed the invitation aside. "Not happening," he muttered. But his friend, Jordan Miller, picked it up, smirked, and leaned against the desk. "You know what stings more than showing up alone?" Jordan said. "Showing up with someone who makes her question everything." The idea stuck. Adrian didn't want just a date. He wanted impact, mystery, a woman Victoria couldn't ignore. He wanted revenge wrapped in elegance. He just didn't know fate was about to give him exactly that. Later that day, as Adrian left his office, he saw her. Sitting on the sidewalk in front of a closed bistro, knees pulled to her chest, hair tangled, clothes stained from days of exhaustion and cold. But her eyes didn't beg, they challenged. He approached slowly, hands in pockets, a man used to power, evaluation, and buying solutions. "You need money?" he asked. She looked up, studied him with unnerving calm, and smirked. "What is this? A social experiment? You hand me a 20, I cry, you feel like a hero?" No one talked to Adrian Wolfe like that. But somehow, he couldn't walk away. "I have a proposal," he said. "Come with me to an event, one night. I'll pay you enough to change your life." She raised an eyebrow. Her voice dipped to a lazy, dangerous whisper. "Do you always open with dramatic lines, or do you just like sounding like a savior?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "Do you want the offer or not?" She stood, close enough that her breath brushed his collar. "I'll do it," she said quietly. "But only because I'm curious." "Curious about what?" he asked. She smiled with eyes that hid 100 secrets. "To see how far a man like you is willing to go." And that was the moment the world shifted, though neither of them knew it yet. The luxury car hummed down the boulevard as city lights danced across the windows. Serena Hale sat in silence, hands folded neatly, eyes fixed outside. Not impressed, not overwhelmed, just observing. "You don't want to know where we're going?" Adrian asked. She turned her head slightly. "Some fancy place, I assume?" "You're not curious?" "Should I be?" she replied. "You found me on a sidewalk and offered me money to be your date. That's already weird enough. She paused. And no, I don't think you're selling me into trafficking. You seem too stressed for that. Adrian let out a startled laugh. He didn't know whether to be annoyed or entertained. Minutes later, the car stopped in front of the most exclusive salon in the district. I want a full transformation, he told the staff. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, everything. Serena sighed as they began untangling her hair. I assumed you expected someone more impressionable. You're not impressed? He asked. By this? She smiled faintly. I've been in this world before. Before he could ask, the stylists ushered him away. Hours later, when they called him back, Adrian froze. Serena Hale was breathtaking. Not because the makeup reshaped her, not because the gown hugged perfectly, but because she wore elegance the way some people wore oxygen, naturally, effortlessly, as if she had never been anything but this. You're not surprised, he murmured. She caught his gaze in the mirror. No, she said softly. I'm not. The grand Sterling Hall roared with chatter when Adrian stepped onto the marble steps. Photographers snapped shots from every angle. Then Serena stepped out of the car, and the world went silent. Conversations stopped. Women whispered. Men stared. Camera flashes ricocheted off her gown. Serena didn't shrink under the attention. She lifted her chin, a serene smile resting on her lips, as if she had done this 1,000 times. Follow my lead, Adrian whispered. She smirked. You didn't bring me here to be invisible, Adrian. Inside, crystal chandeliers rained golden light. Music drifted like silk. And then, Victoria Kingsley turned. Her smile faltered, just for a second. Adrian, she greeted stiffly. I didn't think you'd come. Of course I came, Adrian replied. And I brought someone. Serena extended her hand gracefully. Serena Hale. A pleasure. Victoria hesitated before touching her. You look familiar, she said. Serena smiled. Do I? The tension between them crackled like electricity. And then Serena added, in a tone light as champagne bubbles, I was engaged once too. It didn't work out. His family thought I wasn't the right fit. Victoria's face lost all color. Adrian blinked. That wasn't part of any plan. Serena leaned closer to him. Dance with me, she whispered. Unless you'd prefer to stay here and watch her lose her mind wondering who I am. He took her hand, and as they moved across the floor, he realized something unsettling. Serena Hale was not the helpless woman he thought she was. She was something else entirely. Later that night, businessmen surrounded them. Most were eager to meet Serena, to understand why the infamous Adrian Wolfe had brought a mystery woman to the society wedding of the year. But Serena held her own better than any socialite Adrian had ever dated. Her voice calm, her posture elegant, her insights into the financial market, sharp enough to make seasoned investors exchange bewildered glances. And then one man approached. Tall, silver hair, an expression carved from confidence and power. Damien Blackwell, the investor who could make or break entire industries. You seem very comfortable here, he said. Serena smiled. Maybe because I am. A fascinating woman, Damien replied. What's your relationship to Wolfe? Serena glanced at Adrian through her lashes. Just a partnership. Adrian's blood heated. She was playing her own game, and she was good at it. Too good. That night, after dragging Serena away from the crowd, Adrian confronted her. "Who are you really?" he asked. She didn't answer, so he found the answer himself. By morning, his investigator called. "Your mystery woman has a real name," the man said. "Serena DeVoe, daughter of Magnus DeVoe." Adrian's breath stopped. Magnus DeVoe. The businessman destroyed in one of the most infamous scandals of the decade, a scandal orchestrated by Victoria Kingsley's family. Nothing about Serena Hale was an accident. Nothing. When he confronted her, she didn't deny it. "My father trusted Victoria's family," she said quietly. "And they destroyed him. They erased us, all to protect themselves." "And hiding your identity?" Adrian asked. "Sometimes disappearing is the only way to stay alive." She looked out the window, her voice barely a whisper. "I've been fighting alone for years. I won't stop now." Adrian stepped closer. "Then fight with me." Serena looked up, surprised by the softness in his voice. "I don't need saving," she said. "I know," he replied, "but I'm not leaving you alone again." The following days were war. Articles smeared Serena's name, threats slipped under her door, a warning was carved into her car window. Beware. Someone wanted her gone. Silenced, buried, but Serena Hale was done running. She confronted the culprits. Adrian backed her at every turn. Together they traced everything back to a former associate of the Kingsley Empire. Serena looked him straight in the eye. "You took everything from me once," she said. "Try again, and you'll find out what losing really feels like." The attacks stopped, but something else had begun. Every morning, Adrian left coffee on her desk. Every night, Serena found reasons not to push him away. And when he fell sick with a raging fever, she stayed up all night caring for him, realizing in the quiet hours that her heart had betrayed her. The next morning, Adrian whispered, "I love you, Serena." She closed her eyes and finally said it back. They struck their final blow at the Kingwell Private Club. Victoria thought she had cornered Serena, humiliated her, outplayed her. But then Adrian arrived with a folder thick enough to topple an empire. Emails, signed contracts, audio recordings, financial trails, everything Victoria had done to Magnus DeVoe. "Your family ruined hers," Adrian said coldly, "and tomorrow morning the world will know." Victoria's voice broke. "This is fake!" But before she could finish, the doors burst open and officers stepped inside. "Victoria Kingsley," they said, "you're under arrest for financial fraud, embezzlement, and market manipulation." She froze. Her father's legacy, her marriage, her reputation, all collapsing like a glass tower. Serena leaned in and whispered, "Now you know how it feels to lose everything in one night." Victoria Kingsley was taken away, screaming Adrian's name, begging for help that would never come. Months passed. Serena rebuilt her life, brick by brick, deal by deal, until DeVoe Consulting became one of the fastest rising firms in the city. Adrian stayed beside her, patient, persistent, unshakably loyal. "You'll stop running one day," he told her gently. And she finally did. He proposed on a private beach at sunset, waves rolling around their feet. "Serena DeVoe," he said, "I want to love you the right way, with respect, with honesty, with all that I am. Will you marry me?" She didn't hesitate. "Yes." Their wedding was intimate, bathed in warm light and the scent of ocean breeze. Serena walked down the aisle no longer broken, no longer hunted. She walked as a woman who had survived. Adrian's voice shook as he promised her forever. Serena's hands trembled as she slipped the ring onto his finger. And when they kissed, it felt like the world had finally righted itself. Life softened after that. Adrian brought her breakfast in bed. Serena left him notes in his suit pockets. And one quiet morning, she stared at a pregnancy test with shaking hands. 2 lines. Her heart raced. Tears blurred her vision. When the doctor confirmed it and added, "You're carrying twins," Serena nearly collapsed from joy. Adrian cried when she placed the ultrasound in his hands. "We're having 2 babies," she whispered. He pulled her into his arms, voice breaking. "You've given me the greatest gift of my life." Months later, they revealed it at the baby shower. 1 boy, 1 girl, a future, a family, a legacy healed. Serena Hale, once erased, once abandoned, finally built a life no one could ever take from her again. A home, a husband, 2 children on the way, and a world that knew her name not as a scandal, but as a survivor. A woman who rose from the ruins and rewrote her destiny. Never judge someone by the chapter they're surviving through. Because the next chapter might just be their miracle.